Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Jesse with Carolina Whitetails, and I just wanted to take a minute and make this video about an article I read the other day at WHITEOpenSpaces.com. And the title of the article is Deer Baiting Ethics, Weighing the Pros and Cons. And it made me think how many times that I've heard the discussion about baiting deer, the pros and cons, or for it or against it. Even here in North Carolina, where baiting deer is legal on private land, and it's not even just a popular thing, it's just a part of hunting deer here in North Carolina and most of the South. But there are those hunters that I've heard that just don't agree with it. So I really just wanted to make this video to see what y'all thought and get some feedback from y'all. I know a lot of people that watch the channel are from North Carolina or surrounding states, but I know there's some people from out west and up north, and I just wanted to see what your perspective was from where you're at, because I really think it ties to a cultural thing wherever you're located at. After reading the article, I wrote down some of the points, the pros and cons, and then I wrote down some that I know, that I'm familiar with. But the main reason that people bait, in my opinion and everybody's opinion, is because it works. And but the question is there a downside to it, or what is the downside, if any? North Carolina and South Carolina have a baiting ban on public land, which is what we call game land, but not on private land, like I mentioned earlier, which is really confusing, because a lot of people hunt private land that bumps up against game land. What is the reason for that? Why is that law there in the first place? I don't know. It's a good question. In the article, it says that in Michigan they allow baiting in the northern part of the state, but not in the southern part of the state, which is, again, it's kind of like here in North Carolina, where you can bait on private land but not on public land. All the deer are moving from game land to private land, so I'm not sure what the reason is. Another one of the pros that I'm aware of is the effects on the economy, and they mentioned this in the article I read, but I know this just from my own experience. A lot of small gas stations or country stores sell deer corn during the fall and winter. It's a big boost to their overall income. This is another thing that the article mentioned that I've had personal experience with my own daughter when I took her hunting for the first time, and since then. And the article mentions how using bait or corn is a good tool for introducing kids to the outdoors. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, kids don't want to sit still very long at all. And if corn is going to bring a deer, it might not be a mature deer, it might be a doe, but that's not the point. The point is to get them to see deer, and I think corn is a good tool for that. So that's another in the pro column, and I think it's very effective. Another reason to use corn or bait is to change the travel pattern, and it gives the opportunity to see more deer. And I know here in North Carolina, sometimes you have to change that travel pattern because there is no agricultural land in a lot of areas. So one tree is just as good as the next tree. So sometimes if you can put a bait pile out there, it just increases your chances that much more to see some deer. So those are some of the positive effects that can come from using bait or corn in the woods. The article also mentions some possible negative effects that can occur. And the article asks the question, is there a health risk to the deer herd when using bait? And I think what the researchers are arguing is that bait piles increase the transfer of diseases. And I think what they're saying is all these deer are huddled around one corn pile, and it just increases the chance for the nose-to-nose contact, which could potentially transfer diseases. That's what a lot of researchers say. I've looked at other articles that say that, but from my own personal experience in the woods, man, deer are always touching one another with their noses. I can't even tell you the number of times that I've seen this go on. Not to mention a licking branch that I've seen multiple deer using. I'm not a scientist, but I don't know if I believe that like these researchers do. But I'd love to hear what your opinion is about it. I think the guy that wrote this article is from the state of Michigan. And he wrote in the article that when carrying bait in the woods, it can't exceed more than 2 gallons, and it has to be spread over a 10-foot radius. That seems a little bit much, but I know that the debate of putting out corn or putting out other types of bait has been pretty heavy in the state of Michigan. I know there's a video on YouTube with Ted Nugent, who is from that state, and he is in front of, I think, a Senate panel there in Michigan, where he's arguing these same points for baiting in Michigan. But I don't think that it's a concern of CWD, chronic wasting disease, that's at the heart of this debate. For the hunters that disagree with using bait or outright against it, I think it's more about what is fair chase and what do you think is ethical. Does that change the odds, or are you somehow cheating a little bit? You know, different people, depending on how you was raised and what part of the country you're from, you're gonna think about it differently. And I would just like to know your thoughts and comments about it. A lot of people compare a bait site or a feeder to a food plot and say it's the same thing. They're both human provided that alter the deer behavior. And on that, I mean, it is the same thing. Yeah, a food plot, you plant and it grows and it's like a crop, but it's basically the same thing. You're trying to change the behavior of that deer and get them in front of you to get a shot. So that's the same thing a bait pile is doing. So what are your thoughts on that? Right here in the state of North Carolina, or in the town that I live in, I've heard people not outright arguing, but debating on this, you know, using bait versus not using bait. So it doesn't, so I can only imagine the differences that are there from out west or up north. I'm sure it varies, but I'd love to hear what you think about it. As far as my opinion goes, for whatever it's worth, I see nothing wrong with using bait, especially here in the area that I'm from, when the agricultural fields is limited. I don't see any problem with it, especially when it comes to getting kids in the woods. But you know, I just think overall that hunters have to stick together. If it's legal where you're at, then that's it. It's legal. You know, you can have your opinions about it, but don't fault a man on social media or in person because you don't agree with it. He's not breaking the law. He's getting out there and he's doing it. So that's my 2 cents about it. Like I said, I'd love to hear your feedback and hear what you think, what your opinions are, if you're for using bait or you're just against it. I'd love to hear it down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to push to get to 1,000 subs. We're going to do a really good giveaway once we get there, and I could use your help to get there. To all the ones that have subscribed here recently, I really appreciate it. It really helps out. Before we get out of here, I want to play you a video that I did with Nick Munt from Bone Collector a couple months back, and this is his thoughts on using bait. Check it out. I wonder what you think about, you know, baiting.
I'm all for it. I mean, I think it's a great way to hunt. I think it's a great way to get kids involved in hunting. I think it's a great way to manage your deer, get pictures of them, take an inventory. You know, I've hunted different places with and without, you know, bait, and I don't know. There's just something about it. I enjoy it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's any different having a corn pile or having a food plot that they come to, or, you know, say you'd grow a cornfield and then chop it down and cut it, and they're still going to come and eat it, you know, and in some places that's legal. That's not legal to put out corn. I'm for it. I think it's an okay thing. And, you know, most of these states, they want deer shot, you know, they have a season for a reason. You know, they want to get deer killed, so deer numbers are taken down, and any person can only kill a certain amount. So I just, I don't see what it hurts to have it. I just think it's a fun way to hunt. If you're on a small property, you know, sometimes not everybody's got 200, 300, 400 acres to hunt. So if you're on a small property, it might, you know, help get deer onto your property. I think there's definitely more upsides than downsides, you know.
All right, there it is. I'd love to hear your input about this topic down in the comments. Like I said earlier, make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep following Carolina Whitetails. I appreciate it.